me the hot sauce.
But going back to Thibs, I just, like, I know two players who formerly played with him that absolutely don't actually think he's a good coach. That it is based on a grading repetition that actually destroys the souls of basketball players. And that actually, when it is time to perform, when it is most important, you just don't even have the mental energy to do so.
I've had those conversations with former Thibs players too, where it's, they'll look at you and they'll say, great guy. They'll say it like this too, like, great guy, good coach, but it's a grind, man. Like that's how it comes out, and it's like it wears them down.
And this is my thing. So adjustments, tactics, strong side defenses, brilliant adjustments aside, I just wonder if often these ineffable things we see, whether it's the Houston Clippers game, whatever it is, a team that surprises, a team that disappoints. And I'm always wary of placing too much of the emphasis on the coach, because I also think it's a player's game. But I just wonder, like, is he the guy? Because you are a workplace manager, and it's a complicated, very human thing. And as much as I bow at the altar of analytics and advanced stats and information and fundamentals, and the reason basketball games are won and lost is because of smart tactical decisions and reads, I also am starting, with each passing year in this job, I just feel like there are so many human elements to it. And I think sometimes those variances we see on the basketball court, this guy's production spiked or that guy underperformed, like, I think they often can be traced to things that are basically come out of human interactions and human decisions and mental wherewithal. And that is very much a reflection of where you work, how happy you are at where you work, how much the job is weighing on you or energizing you, whether it's taxing you of energy or giving it to you. And I just don't, I'm not saying I have evidence one way or the other. I worry as a Thibs fan, I worry that maybe that's the event he's poor at.
Well, and maybe, he's kind of a famously stubborn personality and all of that. He's actually much different when you get him away from the microphones than he is to the media. Maybe it's a learning experience for him. Maybe, coaches can evolve. They're not just set in their ways. Maybe, in job number 2 or job number 3, the shoot-arounds are shorter. There are more practices that are canceled. The tone is a little bit different. Maybe he finds a sort of the best version of himself for his next job. But I think there are reasons to be worried about him. The minutes thing is real. The minutes thing, like Jeff Van Gundy comes on this podcast, and we don't know that minutes make a difference. We don't know that, sometimes guys just break their ankle. Who knows if minutes make a difference? Like, minutes make a difference. It's real. Thibs is so far behind the times, and I don't care how many minutes Michael Jordan played 25 years ago. Like, it just doesn't matter. The minutes thing is a real issue. He needs to dial it back. And if I'm a team like the Magic, and I have all these young guys, and I'm not necessarily sure I'm dying to trade like 2 second-round picks, or God knows I'm not trading a first-round pick. I'm trading a first-round pick for a coach, period, unless I know my first-round pick is going to be in the bottom 5, and even then I might not do it. I think there's a real – I'm not sure I want them to have that wear and tear on them. Or maybe the sort of cold-hearted way to look at it is maybe this is the time I want them to have the wear and tear on them. We'll maximize them, and then they'll be Luol Deng and go someplace else and not be as good. Although Luol Deng, I think, was quite good and underrated this year in Miami. It's gonna be interesting. There's Orlando, there's the Pelicans, and those are really I don't think Denver's going to get in the game for him.
No, Denver's not in that game.
And by the way, he's still the coach of the Bulls. We're talking about it like it's over.
Yeah, I mean, I have no reason to believe he'll stay, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that, because it's an odd bidding war, right? Like, he is under contract, and he is not. You don't just deal him the way you deal like your journeyman. Throw him in to make the money work. I mean, he's going to go where he wants to go, and so I'm just really curious to see. And I'm with you. I just don't love. I mean, I thought the Clippers, I thought, bricked that, like as if the Celtics didn't want to get off that contract, as if given the opportunity to get off that contract with no recourse, they wouldn't have done it. Like, I just failed to believe that if the Clippers said, you know what, we're not taking your picks, we're taking one of the most expensive contracts in the league for a guy who no longer wants to be working for you. yet will come to work and take your paycheck at a time when you desperately want to go in a different direction and need to go in a different direction. Like, I just wonder had the Clippers just said, no, we're not compensating you to that effect. You're not getting a first. Like, what would have happened there?
I hope somebody does that, because I just think first-round picks are too valuable. Even if they're late first-round picks, they're too valuable unless, look, we're sitting here talking about how good do we really think Thibs is, right? And if that's the discussion you're having, I'm not doing it. I'm going to find another coach. And I love Thibs. I'm still going to find another coach. And that said, if I'm Thibs, I want that New Orleans job. I want to be Anthony Davis's next coach. I want to be the guy who coaches that guy for the next 5-6 years, and just see what we do. Because I think if you're Thibs and you've been so close, so high on the mountaintop, maybe he'll be interested in Orlando because it's a head coaching job and they're only 30. My hunch is he wants to chase a ring sooner rather than later, and New Orleans isn't ready to do that, but they have piece number one that you need, that like not very many other teams have. And then after that, I wrote this today in a piece that's going up. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he waits it out and sees what happens with the Lakers next year, because I think we can all agree Byron Scott is not going to be the coach. He's not going to be the coach when that team is ready to be good, and that's a team where, as disastrously dysfunctional as they are now, you can at least say this is a team that has a record of getting stars. And I might, in 3 years, have 2 stars. And if I have 2 stars, I'm on the way to sniffing something interesting.
I like the New Orleans gig. I mean, and here's the thing, right? Like, as this is your craft, you are a coach, and you want to work with the best materials. And it's just like, when you hear the way, when not just when the microphones are off, when the microphones are on, but when the microphones are off, like when you hear coaches who've had the opportunity to coach a top 5 talent, reflect kind of when they are in a waxy mood, like it's the job, right? Like, it is the ultimate, I don't want to say honor, or even privilege, but you're just working with the best stuff. Like, you're a fantastic chef and you're working with the best food. Like, you're just the best produce, etc. I mean, I don't love that metaphor, but and I think if you're Thibs, like, yeah, you want Davis. Right? You want Davis. This is the best ball player. Possibly, maybe, since Durant, maybe even since LeBron.
Well, he's going to be, within 3 years, he will be the best player in the league, if not sooner.
Like, you want to work with that. I mean, in terms of raw material, like, that's why you get into this business, right? I mean, unless unless you have a different sort of worldview on it, like Mike Budenholzer, right? Where, yeah, you love coaching a star and you love coaching Tim Duncan, but wow, you love the riddle of making this work. I don't get Thibs is much more of a hedgehog. Like, I just think that, like, no, that guy wants to work with the best raw material, and Davis is it. And I'm with you. I just don't see Orlando unless the New Orleans thing just doesn't work out for whatever reason, and he is one of these guys who just can't stand to be out of it for 9 months to a year. Like, he just can't stand it. Like, it is just not even in his constitution to do so. But that's why I just like the New Orleans gig, and it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, we'll see, because I don't. But you're right that it is a sort of who blinks first kind of thing with the Bulls, because Thibs is going to get paid, and the Bulls have him under contract, and I don't. They want to trade him, and if everyone just says no, or will they settle for the Jason Kidd compensation? Would they get 2 seconds for Jason Kidd? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe 1 second. I think 2. That I might. A couple of seconds, I might do. I mean, I think that transaction will work out well for Milwaukee, particularly since they had an war chest of second-round picks already to begin with, so they could give up a couple. It's going to be interesting. By the way, you mentioned Pero Antic before. I meant to ask you this when we were talking Hawks Wizards. Why?